Thank you for hanging in there, folks. We are back with Get Good NA. This time we're going to be taking a peek into our advanced division. We are still on week 5, round 10 for your casting entertainment. I'm going to be Sir Waltham, joined by Man of Class, Draco Vortex versus Devious Man of Class. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a game for sure. Of course, Draco Vortex are they have 6 members. That's it. Same for Devious, so no substitutes likely to come in today. And yeah, I mean their records are similar, both 5 wins, 4 losses. It's exactly what you want to see from a game like this, where it's just going to be probably very close based on that. But we don't know. I mean, that's just how these games go. We sometimes get a very close game when their scores are completely apart, and sometimes get a very not close game when the scores are very close. So it's hard to predict sometimes. But we will see these teams obviously go head to head. It's going to be Draco Vortex fielding Darvos, Oats, Steak, Frost, Flamingo, and CBT. But on the other side, on Devious team, we will actually have Shoto, Epic Shock, Lotus, Saya, Minipon, and Dark Mallard. So a lot of names there to remember real quick, but we'll see plenty of them in these plays, I'm sure. So we will go into Legion Tower first. And last time, I hope we saw some Dive and Gardens. That didn't happen, but of course, we've advanced a few tiers here. Maybe we'll see some Dive.
Yeah, maybe it's an option coming in, eternally praying for that Pharah pick to come online. But how much do you anticipate these teams are gonna start to, like, lean a little bit more towards that meta hero man of class as opposed to, what we might have seen in our, rookie division just a few minutes ago?
I mean, that is hard to say. Of course, they are a little bit more advanced in the way that they're playing. That's why it's called the advanced division after all. But that doesn't really matter sometimes. Sometimes it can still be up to the comfort picks, can still be up to some strats that you've thought of your own, because your play isn't perfect and it's not in that state where the meta really implicates you that much still. They're much further along, so I'm expecting to potentially see some Genji today, and that actually does more than get killed during one nanoblade and swaps. Which is it was painful to see. It was painful to see. I'm definitely not trying to hound the person that did that. I think it was Konotoki actually. But sometimes that just happens, and I do think that in these divisions you will see more of that counterplay. You will see more Baptiste, you see more Genji, see more Echo Ash stuff happening. Maybe even some more Dive as well, depending on the maps they go to. And I'm looking forward to that because Genji is really good now. The buff actually has been working, and we've seen in Overwatch League as well a lot of Dive happening. And I hope that you see that just continue here as well and get good advanced.
Well, I have a hot tip for you, man of class. If you're looking for that Genji, you might want to keep eyes on Saja. I do have the team
Mm,
rosters here. Saja recorded that Genji, one of their favorite characters alongside Echo and Doomfist. So Echo, you got to expect we're going to be seeing that on Lijiang if Saja's feeling the most comfortable on that character.
Exactly, and when we talk about Lijiang as well, it's also their favorite map on the side of Team Devious. So I'm expecting that to be a thing there. Go for some dive, maybe go for some Doomfist when you get to Control Center if you get there. Of course, we saw some Doomfist being played yesterday in Overwatch League that didn't go as well. But sometimes it can work out as long as you support them potentially with a Zarya bubble or create enough chaos for Doomfist to get that first pick. You do need to get those final blows, otherwise Doomfist very quickly falls off. But I'm all for it. We're starting here on Control Center, so we might straight away see it.
Yes, Command Center, a very interior brawly style map. A lot of option for Mei here as well. You certainly have to think
Yes.
expect it.
Yeah, and the Maywall, you can set up a Doomfist really well. You pull up the Maywall, then punch someone into the Maywall without the other team really being able to protect them because there's a wall in between them. You create your own opportunities that way. It's kind of a Reinhardt charge. You can charge up a bit quicker. And we will see at least a May from one side, but it's not quite clear what they're going to go for. I think they're sort of debating us in spawn still because Wrecking Ball, Diva, and Bastion. It's a bit much. I'm all happy to be surprised and see some off meta strats of some new stuff, but that does look a little bit too good to be true, in my opinion.
Yeah, I certainly have to agree here. Lotus on this sim, probably just using it for a quick teleport. Ryan and Diva, or excuse me, Ryan Orisa versus Ryan Zarya. We're going to see which one truly pulls to be superior here, but Devious going to be switching on to that Reaper May compared to Frostbite on that Doomfist. And early on, the May wall's blocking a lot of line of sights. That Doomfist getting the uppercut onto the May doesn't bring him down, though. Oates quickly burning down Epic Shock, though. Lotus leveling the field when Frostbite gets taken down by a couple pellets from the Hellfire shotguns. And with this, now neither team really moving too quickly on the point. The Maywall coming up from Sajja, trying to separate and buy the teams a little bit of space, enough to get Shoto to take down Darvis. And now it looks like massive possession being taken on by the Draco squad. In fact, they are going to get that first point capture, but doesn't look like Devious too determined to back up quite yet. They're now just going to be getting that pull. Maywall coming in to buy a little bit of separation once again.
So far, Dark Mallard has been doing a great job on that Baptiste CBT as well. You know, it's very normal, of course, to see the Immortality Fields come out, but the way they're using them and the way that they've been getting their value has been good so far. The Maywalls, not so much. We've seen the Maywalls, they have been coming out with mostly blocking rather than actually setting up a play. And maybe they'll get some more value out of those. I think Epic Shock did die because of Maywall, but that was about it. It's going to be walled off again here.
Yeah, Lotus taken dangerously low, but going to be healed up by their supports. Darvis gets May walled off, not able to shield the rest of their team. The Earth Shatter coming in bigger for Shoto than it is for Darvis, but the grab coming in to follow from Oates going to ensure that Draco Vortex not quite out of this fight just yet. It's going to be the sound barrier for Mini Pwn, trying to keep their team alive. The Reinhardt trying to keep Point alive as he is just trying to make it happen. A lot of threats, though, in fact, will be closed upon. The Death Blossom coming in from a Lotus, investing that to really get this point flip, and it looks like finally it's going to go the way of Devious.
Yeah, and they even are able to hold on to at least 2 more ultimates. Stike is going to come back in here with the Blizzard, but that's really all they have. And the counter Blizzard could just throw a wrench in their plans. Stake is already on the flank here, so could be going for a flank Blizzard, but they're not choosing to hold as aggressively because they were still waiting for some respawns, I think.
And the Maywall trying to come out does section off Shoto. Both Blizzards coming out, twin balls of ice, locking in. Darvos taking down Shoto. Now kills not looking great for Devious. Sasha having to be chased away and off point. It's going to be a little bit last minute contest. Mini Pwn trying to just spin to win as you can on the Lucio on that upper pillar in this command center, but is it enough? Every second is more progress given over to the side of Devious. But that Lucio just buying so much time. Nobody really seems to be paying attention to Mini. The pin trying to come in. Darvis going to counter charge onto Shoto. That Reinhardt is not long for this world, but is kept alive for a brief second by that Immortality Field. Shoto taken down by Frostbite, imposing their will with that Reaper. And right now, still so much time being built up for Devious. They need to make something happen here. The Ori now coming out. Epic Shock has that supercharger. Might not invest it in this fight as they do get knocked to the ground, cleaned up. And finally, can Draco Vortex pull this back? The May 1v1ing the Reaper, not necessarily coming out dead. Sajja so close to that Blizzard. In fact, gonna be looking like they're sacrificing their lives for a little bit more point progress. And now the Immortality Field. I can't get a break here, Mana Class.
Yeah, with that slow cleanup, really, they got about 30 to 40 extra percent almost. It was insane how much they got there. And yeah, they're pushing themselves into 1.5 fight territory, and they have the ultimates to work with as well. That Blizzard especially could be huge here.
Yeah, supercharger going to be going in to initiate Epic Shock, having to clean out the May wall first though, and now the Death Blossom coming into the back of a grab despite a sound barrier coming in from Mini. Not going to be able to save 3 members of their team, as now it's going to be on Devious a little bit on the back foot.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see as well. They say, oh, you throw out one ultimate, then we react with an ultimate, then you throw out an ultimate, then we throw out an ultimate, and it just kind of keeps going in that fashion. And we will see the Wrecking Ball being able to touch. The Blizzard comes out on the front line, I think, but doesn't really give me one because there's not everybody there, and they're just throwing the Blizzard back, and now it's going to be a very chaotic push to the point or away from the point as well.
Yeah, Lotus not quite able to find anything with that Death Blossom sound barrier and amplification window. Darvis getting a double with the Fire Strike off the back of that window. Overtime's going to tick down. Draco Vortex taking the first point, and that felt like a round that went 13 minutes or something.
Yeah, it just kept on going. There was just no end to it. And that's not something you say often about Control. Control usually feels like a map type that's just over before it even begins. Now going here to Night Market, this would feel like the map that is more favorable towards Devious than the last one was. They do feel like their hero lineup is probably a bit more attuned to something that's more open and you can get more off angles on. They're gonna both start with this Symmetra strat, and we've seen it before. We know exactly what's gonna happen. They're both gonna run out with a Symmetra. They're gonna teleport to the high ground potentially, and then both get on point. But with this Mei, you're likely set up a little bit better for that than you are on the other side. Stake is with their Doomfist rather than Lotus with their Mei. Oh, and a quicker on the Devious side.
Yeah, Draco Vortex taken down by that Sim's going to be taken down, but Frostbite answers back, taking down Dark Mallet. That Baptiste not going to be here. No Immortality Field is going to be crucial, but not crucial enough as Draco Vortex numbers just hemorrhage on point.
Yeah, you can just see how much damage the Symmetra can push out as well in a fight like that. Lotus up to 75%, while Stake died immediately, only got 20. And yeah, now you're set up with a Symmetra. You can hold aggressively and just back up, do some extra spam damage, get some ultimates up, and then just teleport back to point and hold there with your Mei wall.
Yeah, I really like this positioning from the teleporter, just able to zip right back onto point if the side of Draco comes too aggressive on you. And with this, we are seeing Devious get the early kills. Frostbite taken down, the teleporter getting focused out a little bit, but the Immortality Field in response from CBT trying to keep their team up. Not going to save Darvis though. Nobody sent them the message that they needed to stay in the field as it gets torn down. And with that, now it looks like the aggression coming out from Devious. They're going to try to get some more kills on exit.
They do want to stick on this point though as the primary base, and it's interesting that Stake is still on this Symmetra. Normally you don't want to actually push that aggressive attacking Symmetra. It goes even down here as well. I know you're close to the wall, but attacking Symmetra versus defending Symmetra of Lotus, it's almost impossible to pull off. You might just want to go for something like an Echo or a Fire to just scare around the right sides of the point, or like the outside, and just spam damage in there, because you cannot really do that with the Symmetra. You're just waiting for something to happen. Of course, you're playing against double shield. Maybe that's the thinking process, but it's so hard.
It really will be, as Shoto has this Earth Shatter up, looking to perhaps get it set. The barrier going to be coming out. The pin onto Darvis that sets that Ryan up to be taken down. Easy prey. And with this, Devious looks like they have another fight wins in their hands. And it's just going to be the pull out from Draco team.
And they're really carefully rotating their ultimates as well, using the Amplification Matrix and the Symmetra wall in that one. They'll still have the Sound Barrier, and they'll also have at least a Shatter, but probably the Blizzard and the Supercharger as well. Whereas on the other side, no defensive ultimates and only one tank ultimate. Their DPS have got to come on big.
And now the response Proton Barrier going to be coming out, but the Mei wall again sectioning off Darvis a little bit more than they might be comfortable. The DPS taking a little bit of a beating from the Devious squad. The Blizzard online and activated from Sasha, now going to be dropped right onto the middle of point. Have to make something happen here. Frostbite gets frozen, however, not able to be focused down. That Sim is one. Sasha able to clean him up with that melee. And right now, Devious trying their best to clean up point. Doesn't quite look like they'll be able to do it, as it is just the Lucio and the Mei. But the Lucio manages to take out that Sigma. The Baptiste not able to get back into point. And now the Wrecking Ball coming out from Shoto, trying to get just a quick stagger. They want to win it in this fight. Darvis on this Reinhardt getting absolutely bullied around right now. Flamingo dropping that Sound Barrier just to keep in the fight. They need to do everything they can. Lotus on this Tracer though, coming in rather quick, getting the double. Sasha taking down Stake with an Icicle to the dome. And with this overtime so close to ticking down for Devious, they do get rid of that teleporter to make the path a little bit longer for the Draco squad. And with that overtime ticks down, Devious gets it. We're 1-1.
Yeah, you really have to question that Symmetra Stake from Stake. It worked out sort of with that wall in the end, and it maybe got some extra damage out. But after you lose that first fight, if you don't get that first teleporter play successfully, you're always playing at a disadvantage when it comes to the amount of damage you're able to put out as that Symmetra. Because Symmetra, her turrets help her out so much. They help with the slow, they help with a lot of things. A teleporter is so effective if you have a place to fall back to rather than to aggress into. And everything about Symmetra just screams defense. And it's really hard for them to push into that with Stake. So I really question that choice. We will see them both start in Symmetra again, but I think this time around it will just be to get out of spawn quicker.
We will see here as the swap's going to be coming out. Lotus onto the Tracer. Stake does stick, and this fight going to be going underway. Stake able to get the team 2 point rather quickly. In fact, get those turrets set up. Sasha trying to go onto this Genji. We talked about that. Genji Blade maybe coming out, building up a quick ult charge, but just a lot of poke right now. Neither team are really wanting to push into the other, and now the collapse comes in from the dive squad of Devious. The anti-nade landing big from Dark Mallard, huge. Shoto getting the clean with that. Sasha getting a lot of dashes in.
Yeah, that anti-nade really changes everything because it's so hard. They forced out the immortality field correctly as well. The symmetric turrets were sneakily cleaned up before they even went in, and yeah, it's hard. Once again, Dive's a really good composition right now. The Genji's been buffed already 60% to the ultimate charge. Shoto 88% to their primal rage. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this Dive can do more because it does look like they're very comfortable on these picks, and especially on this map where it's so hard to get across that bridge, so hard to get even close to the objective. You can get spammed down and dove on and just surrounded by all sides all the time.
Yeah, as we do see Steak going quickly from the McCree to the Mei. Epic Shock perhaps getting a bit too bold here on that Wrecking Ball. Gonna barely be getting out with about half health, but struggling to get back on that grappling hook. In fact, we'll be taking the collapse instead. No. A good opening here now for Draco Vortex. And they're trying to get onto point, trying to build up a possession, but Lotus in the backline just being a pest. Primal going to be coming out from Shoto, who gets quickly burned down. Flamingo taken down by their counterpart in Minipone, who goes on an absolute tear, getting 3, not leaving any for the DPS to clean up. And with this, Devious managed to hold despite an early loss.
Yeah, once again, this immortality field comes out incredibly early. I think it was mostly to counter the Dragon Blade from Saya, but then Shoto comes in with the Primal Rage and just cleans everything up there, just boops even a few off the map, and just, it's impossible, right? So Dive is really not about, I just jump this one target. It's about kiting around until you have the ultimate and then make a play. And that's exactly what they're doing now to switch to the Pharmacy. I think the only targets they can really go on are that Ana and Brigitte, and they have so much sustain that it's going to be hard to get the value, but at least there's no hitscan counter.
Yeah, Lotus going to be going for that pulse mine, not quite able to find it. Then the Hammond mine's coming in as well. Grav Flux going to be coming up onto Epic Shock as well as Shoto. The Death Blossom going to be getting a kill or two Odes as well with their Grav Flux, but they can't be leaning on their ultimates. They only have a few of them. And with that, it looks like they're going to lean on their Pharah instead. Steak putting the rain into the sky, taking out the Winston, taking out, or at least threatening the Tracer, trying to make it happen. But it doesn't look like this time Devious is going to be able to pull off the long hold.
Yeah, in the end they do it, but they do have to get a bit more value out of their Baptiste play. CBT now switching over to the Moira to get back quicker, so no more Immortality Field, and that's going to be a problem in the future because everything Dive does can be countered, but you need a little bit more time to do it, and Immortality Field and the Baptiste sustain in general are so important, so integral to that. I don't know if Moira can really live up to that hype. Of course, she does have quite a bit of healing in AoE, but if they come from all sides, what is your AoE healing really doing? You're spinning in one direction.
And the pressure already being put onto point. Lotus getting that pulse mine up mid-fight. And Steak on this Pharah right now, just trying to be a threat, getting brought dangerously low, but has that Mercy in the pocket. But the shot coming in from Dark Mallard makes sure that Steak is not going to be in the air, getting clipped. And Frostbite on this Tracer trying to show that they have competent chops on it as well, but getting burned down, requiring a lot of those materials and resources from the supports. Shoto getting the Nano, but CBT taken down by a Pulse Mine of Frostbite. Again, on this Tracer, getting dangerously low, has to use their resources, has to use that recall, and even then can't survive as Lotus does find them. But the Rocket Barrage coming in from Steak turns things around on its head, getting the double. Both supports taken out now for the side of Devious. Nobody left on the field to keep them alive. It's all going to come down to their own skills. But Sasha on this Genji, trying to do some cleanup, pulling out the blade. Can they make it happen? Steak solo gets cleaved in half by that katana. And right now, the Tracer Pulse Mine coming in. It's up to Frostbite to try to help things out here. The Hammond now, Darvas trying to make it count, but does not. That Mercy getting pounced on by the Genji, then cleaned up onto the Tracer. And with this, Devious able to turn it back. Overtime starting to tick down as that Sigma is going to make it back onto point. The same can't be said for CBT as they get cleaned up. And with that, the clean has to be overtime ticks down. Nobody able to touch point and tick the Wrecking Ball, man class.
The Wrecking Ball, so much health, and it's hard to cleave through that. But the Genji buff with the new, with the Sleep Dart, with the Shield Bash, you'd think it would be too hard. They are able to clean up member after member, and once they don't get killed anymore, it's going to be impossible to come back. It is going to be Devious that wins this first map, and it kind of went from full-on brawl to semi-brawl to dive. You can kind of see where their comfort is. We talked about it before, where we say, I said it on Night Market already, there is more of a dive potential, more of that potentially play a Genji. They didn't quite do it there, but the closer they got to that open space, the closer they got to that, we don't have to just push through a choke or fight in these really small areas. the better we do eventually get. And that's exactly what they're showing here. Great dive play in general, and it really looked like they had that checklist. You know, some teams when they play dive, they have this checklist going on. It was like, okay, so step one, we force the mortality field. Step two, we build ults, or you can reverse those sometimes. Step three, we actually make a move, and then step four, they clean up like hero after hero, and they know who's their primary target, and they go on and they really consistently put these steps out where they really early were able to force out the immortality field until there was no Baptiste anymore, and then they went for other stuff because when the Baptiste was gone, there was a pharmacy. So their first step was make sure the pharmacy doesn't get what they want and focus them down relatively early and then go for the rest, and they kept on doing that. The Tracer really helping out with that, of course, with the range buff that really came out quite a while ago. They were able to do that, and I really happy to see that Dive's back in the meta, and the way that Devious is executing it, I'm liking it.
Yeah, it's looking good so far, but as we look ahead into our escort map, it looks like the call is going to be made for Junkertown here.
Yeah.
Now, Meta Class, how do you think that plays into that dive style? Do you think it really kind of hinders Devious here?
Ooh, it's hard. Like Dive has been very good on Junkertown third in the past. You can really get away with those Genji plays. You can potentially get away with Genji plays on point A and B as well. But while Streets Face is very open, which can work very well in Dive's favor, the Streets Face, point B, is much more sort of enclosed, where you have these very narrow corridors you have to jump through, and the high ground's really good for the defense. But then on point three, you have that high ground advantage, or at least the high ground is sort of neutral. It's just there in the middle. You can play around all those corridors and jump around it, above it, and behind. So Tracer and Genji can get a lot of value again. But of course, it's also really a sniper map, so maybe you don't even get close enough on that first point to do anything like that. And those are all factors that you need to take into account. It's a map that's more like Watchpoint Gibraltar than it is like Lijiang in a lot of ways, where you can get that momentum where Dive can keep working on first and then to third, but that requires a few stars to just align for you. And we don't know what the teams are going to play yet, so we can't really make a prediction. But I do think that Genji at least is still in the cards if they want to play it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a bold statement here. I'm gonna say that we probably shouldn't expect double sniper from either of these teams, regardless of how much you like it on first point, because it doesn't seem like either team really has somebody that tends to favor that Hanzo pick. You could still go Ash Widow, but I'd still be a little bit questionable about it. It seems like these teams definitely have a projectile stance and a hit scan stance. They try to divide that field a little bit more even.
Maybe, but I mean, of course, we did see a few good May players come out, so it's very much possible that they just go for that Hanzo regardless, because he did also get a little bit of a buff with that Storm Arrow. 10 extra damage per arrow is nothing to sniff at.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm thinking that's a possibility. I really hope that they do something that is not, at least not a mirror. So far, they haven't really been mirroring at all, so that's always fun to see. And Frostbite on the Doomfist. So I do want to address that a little bit, because while it can be a good pick, it does feel like it's hard to pull off, especially against immortality fields, against dive compositions. You just don't really get the value that you need to before you get taken out, and you often get taken out before you even get close to getting like a potential value. So it's hard to get in a position, it's hard to then execute, and the only thing that can really save you is maybe a Zarya bubble in that case. So maybe Ryan Zarya with a Doomfist can solve your problem, but I don't think that will be the thing on Junkertown. But we'll see what the teams are going to run out with very shortly.
Yeah, we do go head on first into Junkertown. It's going to be Devious on the defense, meaning that Draco going to get the option to go on the offensive here to start.
Yeah. So Junkertown, I like it. I definitely think there's a lot of good plays you can make on it. It's one of those maps that's always been considered to be slightly unorthodox compared to all the other maps, and also a bit diverse. As in, you do have to sometimes swap up your composition when you get to the last or the third or the first point. Second point, we've seen the pirate chip be very dominant here, the double sniper be very dominant here, but all these compositions eventually, when you can't snowball them into that third checkpoint, you sort of have to swap off of them. And I'm curious to see where that's going to be something we see again. Saja is on that Hanzo. You said we might not see double sniper, but it's happening. And
Trust me,
on the other side, Yeah, but it's double sniper with double shield though, so it's double 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 because it's sort of also double damage support. So Dark Mallard and mini pawn on that Baptiste Zenyatta, and that Discord orb can just be devastating. So on the other side, we will see Flamingo on the Mercy, and we might actually see the pirate strat, the double barrier pirate strat. It is happening. Stake is setting up on that payload, and the Widowmaker Frostbite is going to play as sort of a Lone Ranger agent on the side flanks.
And we're going to have to see here as Stake is getting set up on that cart, the sonar arrow coming out. Lotus trying to find some of these shots, looking like they're zoning in on the Mercy, playing it very cautiously, but gets caught out by Frostbite. Frostbite able to get that first opening. The defense, however, going to be equalizing as Saja takes down and avenges their sniper counterpart. Immortality being forced out here from the side of Draco. And with that, now the opening might really be here for Devious. They're going to start trying to put the damage into this Orisa shield. Stake getting brought dangerously low, but healed up almost just as fast. Saja taking a shot from the Widowmaker. She comes back from spawn from that away, my friend. And with that, the res coming in from Stake, who they thought was down for just a moment. Not going to be enough, though, here. Devious not quite able to deal with this sniper composition. And it looks like Draco so close to getting that last point, or those last few meters that they need to get that first point. It's just going to be cleaned up, and they have it.
The Frostbite popping up there in the end, off there in the end, and they almost had it. They almost had Stake for the second time. Very nice off angles from Epic Shock and Saja to really get in there and kind of make sure that Bastion is always on the toes, looking at both directions. But the support from CBT and Flamingo, essentially just pocketing that one Bastion, was really good. We now see the Infrasight come out from Frostbite, might get an angle. Lotus has swapped over to the Tracer in order to deal with that Bastion with a Pulse Bomb potentially. But it will all be about what they get, and Frostbite just finds the head of Dark Mallard.
Yeah, a good option there. The Dragon's going to be coming out, claiming the life of CBT. No immortality field, however. It will be the Mercy trying to keep up this Bastion. Mercy not going to be going for the res as Flamingo does get taken down, but a quick flick from Frostbite takes down Lotus, getting the kill onto Saja as well. You can't leave Frostbite unchecked. The immortality field coming out, just barely saving mini Pones a life. And with that, the halt coming in, pulling them into Frostbite's line of sight. This is so brutal. Draco really need to lean on Frostbite's Widow a little bit more, it seems.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't really deliver on the Doomfist, but the Widow is definitely coming out. Now gets taken out by Dark Mallard. They're going to try and go for that Resurrection because I think it is available. They will not quite get it off just yet. Nice Gravitic Flux from Epic Shock. And this fight is not over just yet. They forced him out of position. The shields are gone. And that means that Stake cannot set up, is trying to run away here and will be successful in doing so potentially. No, will get taken out. And that was another fight. But you do see how hard it is to get that Bastion off the cart when you have that Widow on the off angles. Frostbite doing an amazing job, and now with the ultimates finally invested, they do get them off. Will Stake stick on it? It does look like they want to. And the Pulse Bomb at least forces out the Immortality Field for now, so it's 30 seconds without the life save. They are still going in with the ultimate. I think that's why they're sticking on that Bastion. If they lose this fight, they'll likely stick off it.
Yeah, you certainly have to expect that. Saja, again, so close to those Dragons, just trying to build them up with a couple of shots. Frostbite going for the grapple shot, not going to be finding too much. Setting up a mine just to cover their backside. And right now it's looking like a little bit of a stalemate. Draco Vortex not going to be getting too anxious in there, but Stake going to be popping that tank formation, taking a little bit of a stun here, but not finding anything off the back end too aggressively, and that is until Lotus gets clipped by one of those shells. Amplification field coming out, may not start to do too much. Saja throwing out those Dragons, trying to get a little bit of clearance going here, but CBT taking down their counterpart in Mini Pone, and Frostbite on this high ground is going to be such a threat, continues to be, but already it's looking like numbers are hemorrhaging for Devious. They're not quite able to succeed in holding this cart. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and it's so hard to try and deal with a flank while you're also trying to deal with a Bastion, because it's so much damage that's just coming at you, especially damage boosted by that Mercy, and they're still on the Bastion. They're still doing it. And I think Lotus sort of died unnecessarily to the Bastion, actually, because I think they went in for the backline flank and just got caught out. They just got reversed. Like the flick backwards on Lotus was just what cleans up that fight, because Stake really wasn't getting much with that ultimate. It was kind of running out of time.
Yeah, it was very chance that Lotus got hit by that Tracer shell, it seemed. Very fortunate for the side of Draco, but now the Bastion continues to move on as the pirate ship progresses forward. Sights coming out from Frostbite, meaning everybody will be revealed unless Frostbite can be taken down. The shot onto Lotus doesn't quite get closed, but very close. And with that, the Genji doesn't get claimed, but his brother in that Hanzo does. Sasha taken out of the fight. With that, the deflects coming in, trying to buy a little bit of space that their tank's unable to do at the moment. And now on the back foot, Shoto trying to leave, just cannot quite. The cart slowly moving for Draco. Nobody's really had time to contest this here, man.
No, we do see exactly why this pirate ship can be so dangerous. Oh, gets stunned out of that gravitic flux. That's such a shame for Oats. Sorry for epic shock there. Will now be going into the third, and I don't think they'll be stopped. They'll just touch it, and they'll get there. The Junkrat's trying to stop it with a wrecking ball. But what are you even going to do? You got to get some kills here, and they're not getting any of those. Lotus going to try and do the deflect. It's now 2 seconds, but 2 seconds is a little bit less than you need because you still have 241 to defend, and that was not what's going to happen. And like I said, it's been a while since we've seen the pirate ship on Junkertown. It was a very popular strat in the past. Now with Mercy and Baptiste and Widowmaker, it was sort of what it was looking like before. You know, we're kind of back to the good old days. And it is tricky because with the Bastion, you have to really have determined spots where you can actually attack that Bastion comp without being sprayed down. And on that third point, there really didn't seem like they had an idea of where do we actually try and deal with a Bastion? Where do we as a team attack and where do we set up? Because they kept being called out like one by one. They weren't on the high ground. They weren't behind a wall. They weren't really setting themselves up for a this is where we throw the Bastion off the cart play. They did it once and then they never could do it again.
Yeah, that's looking like it's now going to be reflected in the defense as well. Frostbite on the Bastion once again. Stake with the Mei, give them perhaps a little bit of a benefit in, you know, preventing some long cooldowns from hitting that Bastion if Stake is able to respond appropriately. But I think Draco may be getting a little bit ahead of themselves. Bastion on defense is kind of a different beast. Oh, but they're doing the side route.
Yeah, they're going to set up fairly close. They want to spam into their spawn straight away. And are they going to be spotted out in this? The high ground defense, high ground offense is going to come out here. They're running the exact same thing they were before. And I don't know if they're going to expect the Bastion. But now at least they know he's there. I think they've seen him. Nice off angle from Epic Shock once again. He's been really diligent on those. He's not taken out quite. Nice immortality field. And the fight has truly broken out now.
Yeah, Lotus making the smart call to switch to the Junkrat. A lot of spam can go into that room, but not if Oats takes you down. The headshot onto Shoto as well from Stake. This Mei is looking like a little bit of a threat here, but getting focused out by that Zenyatta, but Frostbite has their back, burning down the Omnic Monk. And with that, it looks like Devious going to need to regroup and reconsider their plan.
Yeah, so what they're trying to do is find different angles they can spam at those shields and that Bastion with without actually dying. But they're not able to get into those positions. They're not able to get out of spawn and try and spam from an angle where they cannot be seen. So now we see Epic Shock on the Diva. They're going like for this full dive composition actually. So Lotus on the Ashe, Saja on the Pharah. Now they can take angles where they cannot be seen and spam into this room. They're finally gonna get the damage out. Huge anti-nade and Frostbite's already out. Can the res come in? I don't think they're even trying at this point. No, they're just gonna get taken out. This card's gonna progress.
Yeah, actually the stun, I believe, coming in from Flamingo, actually preventing that res coming in, and not a moment too soon. Devious really needed to start making some cart progress here. And man, even the Bastion on defense still providing a lot of resistance for that squad.
Yeah, of course. And resistance, it's what they need. They need to buy as much time as they can because even if they're gonna be losing this this defense, the more time they buy, the more time they don't have to fight against the next one. They have 241 themselves.
Right, Saja on this Pharah trying to get that early damage in from over the top. So close to getting that Mercy down. Flamingo dangerously low. Gets focused out by Saja. That is a crucial kill. No res on the field now for the defensive squad. The Supercharger coming out, but will be focused down by Saja. The grab Flux coming in now in response. Oats taken down by Lotus, though. Not enough to save their teammate in Dark Mallard. The Widow trying to make it happen. And Saja getting the double on the barrage means that this might just be winnable for Devious. That was so close. Classy.
So many kills going back and forth, and finally the Pharmacy shows up, throws down that barrage, and just cleans up the point. 4 minutes to go in the second. Nicely done. Took them a little bit to get going, but now they've got some momentum. Not that many ultimates though. It's only really, actually, as I say that, I see it's 5. This is the barrage we choose, so 5 are almost coming online. And there's only 3 on the defense, so they're in a good place because Frostbite is swapped off twice now. Is now on the McCree.
Yeah, the McCree gonna be trying to make some plays with that Peacekeeper. The Dynamite coming in from Lotus and the clean onto CBT. No Immortality Field, no healing coming in from that BAP. It will all be on Flamingo, who does get the res in, relieving themselves of a little bit of that support pressure. The Immortality Field early, though, really feeling the threat from Lotus. The Maywall trying to come out, preventing that Resurrect coming in, but Bob diving into the Blizzard, gonna get frozen up. Lotus not quite able to be saved as Stake takes them down. The Wrecking Ball on cart, trying to make plays as well. Looks like Shoto's just gonna decide that the discretion is the better part of Valor.
Yeah, and they kind of got split up. They sort of went back to the thing they did on Lijiang Tower, where they were, you know what, we're just gonna focus down the Immortality Field and CBT early, and it's worked. It worked in the fight before. This time around, the res was there. The Immortality Field had already been shot. That's true, but they couldn't quite get the follow up after they threw in the bomb, and then just kept on going. Saja is now on the. On the Genji. They're on full dive in this situation with the Ashe and the Ana. So two less mobile cores, but they'll still be there. They'll still be doing the damage, doing the healing.
Certainly, and the Dynamite going to be coming in from Lotus, getting a little bit more Bob build up, just as you like to see. Again, the dive now coming in as they're focusing on the Dynamite. The Winston going to be jumping in heavy. Shoto getting that nano boost from Dark Mallard. Epic Shock throwing in a bomb just for good measure as well. Doesn't seem to land too much. And more Dynamite coming in, but Frostbite putting the pressure onto Mini Pwn. In fact, will be dropping. And the Primal Rage coming out from Shoto, trying to get some sort of value, but Lotus taking the easy shot on the Frostbite as that High Noon comes out. Draco looks a little bit scattered, they look a little bit disoriented, but it looks like they may be able to regroup and get these kills coming in, especially as Shoto drops the Sigma grab. Flux coming out doesn't seem to land too much. Now the Genji late blade coming in, but Stake answering with a very simple Blizzard coming out. And not long for this world is Saja, Draco actually going to be winning it.
Flame and Go has just been disgusting with the Mercy super jumps. Like the dodge and dive and dip and just you can never catch me because I have a broken mechanic. It's just totally showing up here. Like Flame and Go, uncatchable. Dodge the Genji like 3 times in the normal, was on sliver of HP. The blade comes out, gets hit by the first slash after the dash, and then just the Guardian Angels and Valkyries away and super jumps again, and then no way the Genji can actually finish that kill off. Now we see a wall up here, actually chasing down Saja. We'll be able to wall climb away, but Fending gets cleaned up by Stake here. Stake's been doing a great job on this May, consistently on the off angle, cleaning up at least one member. Was the Diva last time, the Genji this time.
Yeah, Stake looking so good so far. This high ground still being held by Draco. Not really able to have much done about it. That Mercy trying to keep the McCree juiced up on the amplification. Dynamite trying to land, not going to be hitting too much. With that, the Halt coming in now. Looks like no more dive threat from the side of Devious, but Stake taking down Lotus again. That's going to stall this push coming in from the offense.
Yeah, it's getting close to that last fight. They do get this kill on the Stake, which is very necessary. The res may be able to come out. I think they have the space for that. Yeah, it's such a shame that Saja can't get up there to deny that res. A Mini Pwn gets taken out as well. What was an advantage, it's now immediately turned into a disadvantage straight away with that res and accretion.
Yeah, decent
with the Bob and Ursa.
Decent anti-nade from Frost onto Frostbite and Darvos means that Frostbite will be taken down. That McCree not going to be in the fight. Bob on the field now trying to throw down the damage as well, keeping that cart nice and contested. CBT keeping their Orisa healed in kind. Shoto, however, cannot have that same support from their supports as they do fall. Dark Mallard not on the field to give them that crucial lifeblood. And the Sigma grab flux from Oats trying to make it happen, but it's just going to be the cleanup onto Mini Pwn with that Draco Vortex. Gets this, holds it, and takes the Junkertown.
Yeah, both teams have now won their favorite map in map type, because we started on Lijiang, which was Devious's favorite. Then we went to Junkertown, which was Draco Vortex's favorite. And that means we're probably going to go to Anubis now, which is Devious's favorite. And then afterwards, we might go to Scrim's Row, which is Draco Vortex's favorite. And then we're in map 5, and you know, that's where we're at. That's my prediction. It's map 5 time.
Map 5 time. 5 alive on the board. You heard it here. Classy's calling it out. But yeah, that was a thrilling match to watch. I really loved the Widow play we saw coming out from Frostbite.
Really nice.
I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it.
Yeah, of course, we will potentially see more of that when we go to the next map, like Anubis, if that is going to be exactly be the next one. Could be very, helpful for potential sniper play, but also dive play. Before we do that, however, we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be back very shortly. Make sure to keep hydrating. Make sure to keep dehydrating if you need to. But hydration is probably, a bit more
Yeah.
important in most cases. So we'll go do that. Grab some snacks if you need to, because hunger is not fine to fight, not fine to not fun to really fight through. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
And we're back, folks, with GGNA hopping into the advanced division. Draco Vortex versus Devious. We're at one apiece. Your casters here, Sir Waltham and Mana of Class. Mana Class, what do you expect on Hollywood moving up?
Well, you know what? I was fully expecting Anubis, like Assault, but then I, of course, forgot that we do hybrid first, which is, not a problem. I love hybrid, and I love seeing, well, not King's Row. Not that I hate King's Row, but if it's all you see, you get a bit bored of it. It's listening to the same song 50,000 times in a row. It gets a bit monotone. We will see Draco Vortex pick on the defense here. Of course, Devious picking this map, and yeah, I don't mind it. The only thing I'm slightly worried about for Devious is that Frostbite has a gnarly Widowmaker, as they say that, and the
Mhm.
high ground on second can be very jarring if you play against a good Widowmaker. The problem is, however, everything that can get to high ground can be good on Hollywood. So if you play a full dive, the Widowmaker will not be able to fully resist that dive on her own, and they haven't really been playing counter dive on the side of, at least a dive of their own on the side of Draco Vortex. So if they play in that second street phase, they might have to, or they just set up everything on high ground, which with the elevator speed is pretty tough to do to get that timing right.
Mm. Yeah, certainly.
Oh
Do you
no.
do you think there's any risk of the cafe coming in, the Bastion rather?
I mean, I thought there was. That's why I said, oh no. I was like, oh no, no, no. They're not gonna play Bastion here as well. I go, no. Oh, but they go for the Ash Torbjorn, which is in its own right, relatively annoying to deal with. We will see the Brigitte Baptiste as well come out from the defense. We haven't seen the Brigitte yet, I think. And I like the Brigitte. She's still really good. Before those changes that are currently on, I think either PTR Experimental or Go Through, we can talk about Brigitte again. But before that, really good hero. That armor is in general oh no. No, they're changing to Lucio. What are they doing? No, stick on the Brigitte. It's so much better. No, it's a choice. If you want to quick rotate, Lucio can really work. Do see mini pawn on that Brigitte though, just protecting their own Ana, of course, and then the dive comes in from everything else in the team. That's why you have the Brigitte to keep the Ana safe, to give the Genji and the Tracer their armor, and it's going to be hard to deal with in that case when they come at you with 75 more health they're supposed to have.
We'll have to find out here. The dive not coming in too quickly from the side of Devious. It looks like Shoto tried to get up there but got knocked away by Stake's coach gun, if I'm not mistaken. And with this, Dark Valor taking up a residence in that little office building, trying to keep their team healed as the cleave comes in from Shoto, but the damage onto that tank absolutely critical for the defense right now. And with that, numbers not looking so good for Devious squad. Draco now popping off that Ash, pretty much has not had to leave top ground, and Spec Stake gonna be taken down Lotus with a quick headshot from the Viper.
Yeah, and the dive very well abusing actually the fact that they cannot really move with that high ground. Now they actually take down Stake late. They can really quickly recontest. There won't be that Ash threat, no dynamite, and no coach gun to deter them going on that high ground. They saw they were sort of trying to pull someone off the high ground by getting that first tick. Then Oates drops down, and that's just like the cue for Shoto to say, I'm gonna go up into that cafe and just deny that Sigma because they can't accretion me out of there. Of course, Sigma will be back in time. Actually, Ash will be back in time. We see that aggressive jump from Shoto again underneath the cafe. Actually going to take up that position. And now we'll see how long it takes him to force him off the high ground again.
If they can, in fact, the point progress going to be ticking up. Second tick almost given up. Somebody needs to get on point. Shoto popping that primal now, bopping everybody out of the immortality field. Oates dangerously low. Double kill with all spine. You love to see it. Saja going to be topping things off with a Dragon Blade. Darvis, Stake, and Frostbite are all that remain, but will they be long here? It's going to be the Winston trying to focus out that Torbjorn, but not going to be getting the better of it. Can Saja make it happen? It looks like they can. Enough progress will be made here to get the cap.
Ana and Genji, the dangerous combination, didn't even need the Nanoblade in that one, and just cleaned it up together in the end. Turns out if you have a support and a high damage Genji, you can just win any 2v2 fight. It doesn't really matter what the matchup is there. But we will see once again this high ground control becoming very important. Stake still on the Ashe, and Saja still straight away goes up there and tries to deal with that.
Yeah, CBT was dangerously low. In fact, got the immortality field forced out as Saja still trying to maintain threat on this upper ground. But the dive coming in gets caught by the grab. Flux Shoto gonna be brought so low on that Winston doesn't get forced out. Epic Shock as well. I thought they got demeched there for a second based off the health pool. Saja trying to find a way out, but Stake not gonna give him the escape. Sound Barrier and Supercharger coming in. Darvis gonna have that Supercharger taken down rather quickly though. But the supports now for Devious torn asunder, and now it's looking like they're gonna have to back up and give up a little bit of space here, especially as that Torbjorn sets up on cart.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find a different way to attack this, and what they're likely gonna do is just use their cooldowns to get to the high ground, just run around them a little bit, get those ultimates online because they're getting awfully close, and dunk on them because that's what dive does, right? They're gonna dive on them. The Baptiste is fairly solo. I mean, they're up there with the Ashe, but it's a fairly diveable position. It's also hard to get the immortality field and the healing really in the position in that corner where most of their tanks are holding.
Yeah, Lotus going to be taking a a stick of dynamite to the face, sticks the Orisa, doesn't quite get the damage done, but the follow-up is there with Epic Shock's Diva Bomb. The self-destruct going to be getting 2 kills off the back, and Saja on fire and dangerously low does receive the healing from his Ana and Brig. Epic Shock having to face tank for Stakes Bob, but going to be able to take it down in kind. And with this now, Devious is looking good to push ahead.
Yeah, very good. They still have the Nanoblade ready as well. I mean, the only thing you can really do to stop that is potentially have a very well-timed immortality field and then throw out the Molten Core so that the Genji cannot actually stay where they need to get it. But you get such quick damage out of there that might not even be enough. The quick last recontest comes in, but it's so late.
Yeah, and the Nanoblade, yes, in fact, going to be coming out from Saja, but doesn't get any of the finalization kills with the exception of the 2 tanks. And maybe I spoke a little bit too soon. Saja going to be cleaning up half the field. The second point does get capped. Things are looking good for Devious.
Yeah, they're going to build up another Pulse Bomb, another Rally, good position there on the defense. They'll have that Gravitic Flux almost, have the Amplification Matrix. But the Amplification Matrix is hard to really get use out of if you're constantly fighting at 4 fronts at the same time. You're not really firing linearly, so how are you really going to get value out of that one? I don't know.
Certainly will be tough here. We're going to see Frostbite switch onto this Reaper, really try to catch that dive in hand. Lotus dropping off the high ground, as does the Reaper. And with this Shoto getting brought dangerously low, needs to be paying very close attention to his health. Pulse Mine coming in from Lotus looks like it's not going to be invested quite in this fight. Just a little bit of poke right now. Oh, but the Flux for the Oats player on that Sigma. Stuck onto the Reaper. The Pulse Mine finds Frostbite by the clip of his cape. And Oats brought dangerously low, as is the Brig. But Lotus in the backline being an absolute dagger in the heart of this team. Cleaning up here. Gonna be taking down that Orisa as well. Ashe so dangerously low. Bob trying to get out of harm's way. In fact, just gonna be put down instead. The amplification field coming in from CBT, and now the return tracer from Frostbite trying to make a happening go on. Brig cleaned up, and the cart looks like it's so close to being ferried. Hammond coming out from Oats, trying to buy a little bit of time, but gets knocked away. And all around like a giant pinball as it goes. Lotus trying to get some damage in, frying the pulse pistols into it. The double kill off the bomb from Epic Shock. This looks so set for Devious.
Yeah, they're just going to keep having to clean up these stranglers. They're going to try and stall their time down a bit more. It's probably bought about 20 seconds there from the point the fight was actually lost. But you just see it straight away. CBT not getting any chance to really live and heal a lot. It's constantly out. The immortality fields are having to be forced very early. It's very reminiscent of what we saw in Lijiang Tower, where CBT is under so much pressure, and it's so hard to play around that Baptiste correctly that this dive is getting everything they want and then some. Just more. Just every single time you think, no. Okay, so they get 1 pick and that's about it. No. They keep going and they keep getting more and more and more. And they lost about, like, what, 3 fights maybe in the entire map?
It felt like very few for sure.
Okay, so they lost that first fight on point A. I think they lost 1 fight in streets. They might have actually just lost 2 fights. I mean, the fights went on a bit longer because they have to like poke and build those ultimates up and then get going again. But they never really were halted a lot, aside from once in streets and that first push on A, which they just didn't have ultimates yet for. So if they can keep that going, if they can keep that dive going, especially on streets phase, it's gonna be a hard push through here for Draco Vortex. And yeah, they're not setting up the dive on defense, so at least that's something that they can sort of revel in. They're setting up the exact same thing, with the exception of Dark Mallard on the Zenyatta. No Lucio on that defense.
Yeah, Dark Mallard going to be a little bit more of a threat, adding a little bit more punch here. And I kind of hope Saja switches off of the Torbjorn a little bit faster than we saw from the side of Draco. We'll just have to see as this battle gets underway.
Yeah, I feel like they might just go Genji or Hanzo when they go to the second point. We saw that double sniper or that dive threat really come out, and I do think second is really where they want to pull that out. But the Echo from Frostbite, let's see what that goes. We haven't seen much Echo today yet from these teams, so I really like that they're pulling it out. Now it's just a question of, can they get the value out of that one? Can they get good duplicates? Can they get good sticky bombs and focus beam value? So far, it's just poke.
So, but those cluster bombs can be very potent with a team as tightly packed as the side of Devious is, with that Echo trying to take onto that high ground, trying to get that damage in, perhaps getting some early ultimates, but right now it just looks like a shield war. No real pressure being put on the point either by Draco Vortex, and that might be a really good option. Dynamite going in is going to clean up Dark Mallard, though now Devious a little bit on the back foot, having to push in, make an aggressive play happen, but they're just going to keep fighting on the interior of this cafe. Saja's turret gets torn down, that Torbjorn going in so aggressively trying to get something. Epic Shock does claim a one, but it doesn't look like enough. Draco Vortex going to be able to maintain, hold, and get this point flipped.
Yeah, the big problem there was that indeed it was a shield war, but the defense of Devious tried to play the shield war with two shields not in the same position. And if you're both on high ground, both playing the shield war, then you need to both have both your shields up. Otherwise, the spam is just going to win from one team, right? Because they only have to spam down one shield and not two in a row with then, you know, gravitic kinetic grasp and then something else. Like, that was a bit of a problem for them where they used, they had Shoto underneath in the cafe and Epic Shock on top of it, and the shields were just not together, so they only had to spam down one. The Dynamite came in, and afterwards it just unraveled. They have swapped to dive now. Dark Matter mini pawn once again on the Ana Brigitte, so this high ground control is going to be very important to get, and they're not going to have that much trouble forcing them up, I feel like.
We'll certainly have to find out. That Wrecking Ball from Epic Shock going to be up there, giving Oats a little bit of what for. Stake dangerously low, going to be not cleaned up, actually. It's going to be Oats who gets the first death on their team. The duplicate coming in from Frostbite onto the Winston. Going to be having two Winstons on the field, or excuse me, just one Winston from the side of Draco. But it looks like Dark Mallard getting a couple of kills here might not be enough, especially as that Wrecking Ball is having to leave the fight as fast as possible just to get out alive.
Nice anti-nade, might be able to get that kill on the CBT there. Can someone else touch? Yeah, Shoto's still there. Gonna get actually awfully close maybe to that Primal Rage. Epic Shock definitely getting close to that minefield. The Bob is out, and with that quicker respawn, they finally get the dive defense they want to. And with the ultimates building up, this is going to be a very good spawn. Okay, so they took a lot of time to get that dive sort of online, to start getting some ultimates, to starting to show, like, cycle through those. They kept Lotus on the Ashe, and that's so important to still have that Ashe, that ultimate, to really deter and potentially be able to stop them as like a last resort there on that checkpoint. With all the ground given up, now they're going to be able to consistently control high ground, consistently dive down, and now have ultimates to work with that to boost as well.
But an early kill from Epic Shock onto Stake. That Wrecking Ball pile driver going in large. Lotus on that Tracer, not able to quite follow in with that dive just yet. Epic Shock gonna be keeping an eye on the rest of this team. The pile driver going in, landing onto the Baptiste and the Orisa, who both get hit by an anti-nade from Dark Mallard. Although the Immortality Field will be there to save themselves. The minefield going to be coming out, not quite landing too much as Epic Shock might want. That is until CBT just wanders into one of them. Flamingo taken to their knees by a pulse or a anti-nade from Dark Mallard. And with this, it looks like the attacker's going to have to back up.
Flame and Go doing a great job there on the Baptiste to do the Immortality Field, but unfortunately, too many resources are already expended, and that's really the problem that they're going to run into on the side of Draco Vortex. Because they have to choose where they fight. Their tanks can up to high ground, which takes them about 10 seconds to get up there. But then as soon as they're down, they cannot really get back up that easily, which is a complete opposite story when you run dive. You can fight wherever you want, whenever you want to fight there, as long as you have the cooldowns, which are relatively low.
Yeah, we saw Frostbite in the back lines a little bit there. Oats taking an anti-nade means that they're going to be a little bit more vulnerable than usual, and a big sleep onto the Tracer. Frostbite going to be stuck out of this fight for just a little bit. Not able to land that pulse mine. The anti-nade goes on to Bob, but it's not enough to prevent Minipone from dropping. The Ashe getting closed upon by that Genji and Wrecking Ball. Devious continuing to look strong here despite their losses.
Yeah, and it's just they're fine losing 1 or 2 as long as they get more kills, of course, right? Like their respawns are closer, they have more mobility, they get back faster, so everything is in favor of them when it comes to like resource control and even ultimate usage and just positioning around the map. They really control the map with the dive composition. We see more mobility now coming out. Darvos on the Winston as well. CBT on the Brigitte to protect their backline a bit more against that dive. Frostbite still the Tracer, and they keep Oats on the Sigma, potentially for their Gravitic Flux. But it's going to be hard to catch anyone with that when they're all moving around so much.
And a big dive onto Flamingo there. The Winston, the Genji, the Wrecking Ball all hitting at once, but it looks ready to answer from Draco. You're going to be hitting the Pulse Mine, hitting the Grab Flux as well. Those ults going to be coming in so crucially. The stall trying to come out, but Lotus runs into some of those orbs from Sigma.
Yeah, and I really do think that, of course, the whole, the whole extra jump from that Winston, the whole extra mobility that they gain, and now even switching to a D.Va, which they might have done before had the Flux not been there. I do really think that eventually that pays off, because you do fight mobility with like dive versus dive is sort of what you want to do in those situations. But it did take them a while to do that, so they're gonna end the map, if they're gonna end the map at all, in a lower time bank, potentially in overtime.
Yeah, Stake taking down Minipone, 2 shots to the head of that Brigitte. Gonna be a easy success for Draco. They're gonna be looking to get this card a little bit more progressed here, and now the backup has to come in from Devious.
It really has to be, and I'm curious if they're going to be able to pull up and pull their defense. They do have some ultimates, and the first one on Frostbite already coming out there. Nice pulse on a Tracer of all things, and the defense is definitely there. Nice minefield. I don't think they're going to be able to actually push this in this time around, so they'll have to go and try again, but a lot of ultimates invested for Devious there.
Yeah, I highly got to disagree with that Dragon Blade. It did not feel necessary. Saja pulling it out. Really could have used it in one of these last coming fights.
Yeah, I really, we really gotta wonder whether all those ultimates were necessary. The minefield for like a very good one. The pulse one was a good investment, but there was so much more that came out there that might have been necessary. We see Epic Shock now switching over to the D.Va. They want to match that, so it's almost a mirror, aside from one support and one of the DPS.
We'll have to see which one finds more value, as now it looks like the next attack is going in. The Nano onto Shoto, building up that ultimate so quickly. Epic Shock trying to go in there, put those rockets to some chests. Oats dangerously low, has to get bailed out by the Immortality Field. And Stake on that Ashe, not quite able to escape the fury of Tracer and D.Va. The rockets coming in. It looks like a couple of kills going in favor of Draco, but not enough. Devious continuing this, but that is until, oh, it's a double off the back of that self-destruct. That is absolutely huge. Lotus taking down Flamingo, and Frostbite not quite focused on the cart, instead focused on this Tracer 1v1. Gonna buy a little bit of time. The Primal coming out from Shoto allows the respawns to come in. Stake on this Reaper, tried to make something happen, trying to pry that damage into those little bit more vulnerable tanks, but nobody's gonna be there to touch cart, and with that, Devious are gonna take it.
Devious take that map in a good fashion. I think once again we can just see that dive is just their forte, and once they play dive against this Draco Void Vortex team, they're just gonna win. Like it's very hard to deal with them. We did see the dive matchup actually come in there finally. We haven't really seen a dive matchup before, and they were looking good on it. I definitely would say that Draco Vortex has a good dive themselves, but they just couldn't quite connect on everything they wanted to, and they looked a bit more lackluster than Devious did. When we go to the next map, which is of course Assault, dive can work, but it will all be depending on which map we do. And we talked about this before, where we kind of said, okay, so they both have different maps for every single map type that they like. And for Draco Vortex, who are not going to be able to pick the map. Their favorite assault map is Hanamura, whereas the favorite map of Devious is, surprise, surprise, the best dive map of them all, Anubis. So I am very curious whether Hanamura is going to be so much harder to play for with dive, because I don't necessarily think it is, and whether we will just see for that reason Draco Vortex take that map away and go to map 5. Because I did make the prediction before, I said it. I think a map 5 is definitely in the cards, but it's possible to get a 3-1 here instead of 2-2.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. Devious in a good spot here. They just kind of working with a slight disadvantage, at least when it comes to the map that they might prefer here. I I want to talk about Anubis here real quick because yes, Anubis might be a good dive map, but it also can be a pretty friendly Widowmaker map, which I mean, we've seen Frostbite do some pretty impressive things on that Widowmaker. So I don't think it's going to be as cut and dry as, oh, we take this map and just win it outright.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. It's definitely not. You mean you still have to actually play and then win it. Um, but I'm very, very again, like I'm very curious to see whether they actually go for that dive on attack, because Devious has to start on attack this time around. Because I think at least we'll see. I think they might actually pick defense if they have the option. But yeah, that's the call that's going to come in soon. We don't really know that. I think they've actually picked a map. It's going to be Hanamura. It does seem like so. Yeah, once again, I mean, I'm just gonna say it again, right? Like Hanamura, they pick the map that they have on their sheets, which is nice. Sometimes we teams see teams don't not do that, and then we question whether they, maybe change their mind and just didn't change on the sheet or whatever else goes on. But I do like it, and Hanamura has been a map that we've seen been played a lot lately because it's just a good map.
Yeah. Now, I kind of want to put you on the spot here. I want to give you a little bit of a simple one question quiz here, man. Of course.
Always.
Where does Draco really need to focus on if they want to overcome Devious? What do they need to do? What's their sauce?
It's all about that back line, because I think their front line's not necessarily the problem. It's about especially when they play Baptiste, their immortality field is consistently focused out, or like pulled out by something that isn't as, or shouldn't be as threatening as it is. So they are consistently giving up their immortality field for something that they maybe shouldn't be able to, and that there's different reasons why that can happen. It's either because CBT is under too much pressure, which why is CBT under too much pressure in the first place, right?
Mhm.
Or it's because CBT is maybe just, not under pressure, but just doesn't know how to handle a mortality field as well just yet. It's like maybe a new hero that they haven't played that much. Um, now, I think the second option is not really the case, because when Flame and Go played Baptiste, a similar thing happened. So it's not necessarily just CBT.
Mhm.
And it could also just be that Devious is very good at it, because we do see them again. Like I said, they have the checklist, right? Where they go like, we need to force an immortality field before we do anything meaningful. So we just do that. And then we just go and win. And that seems to work. It's not a long checklist, but you got to do it what you have. Maybe they just didn't have enough pen and paper left. I don't know.
I mean, sometimes your checklist just falls short. All the bureaucracy in the world can't save you sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited as we get into Hanamura. Um, it gets me a little less excited than something like Anubis would, because as common as snipers are in Anubis, they're not as predominant in Hanamura. Sometimes you'll see it.
Yeah.
I do think that the Ana might be a good option here. I believe it's Devious who's been running that pretty consistently, and I'm liking the anti-nades that we're seeing come out of those Anas.
Yeah, 100%. It's good to see Ana's being able to still be played. We were kind of scared that when the Genji came out, Ana just, some teams are saying like, yeah, you need the nano boost because otherwise the blade is still useless. On the other hand, you can say like, yeah, but if you have enough other dive components and you play against dive, then there's not as much dive like nano blade deterrence as there was before, other than maybe a sleep dart or a good shield bash combo or something like that, right?
Right.
So I'm very much looking forward to seeing more Ana potentially. I think especially on attack, you can reasonably run it without running too much risk. But on defense, Ana is still fairly diveable. So I do expect more Baptistes to be played there. Maybe Baptiste Brigitte, maybe Baptiste Senyata. That's up to the teams. But that would be my preferred combo if I were to play myself.
Makes sense. Real quick before we get into the match, because we are launching Hanamura right now. Do you think there have been any tank players that have stood out?
I think they all have in their own right. I think Shoto has been doing a very good job of knowing exactly when to go in and then not die in the Winston, which has been something that, like I said before, dive is not just we dive and we kill something. No, it's now we use cooldowns until we have ultimate. We start kite around them. And Shoto has been able to still play relatively aggressively without dying. I think that's very good from Shoto. But then we see Epic Shock, who's been hitting great accretions, been doing very well on the support. Had a very formidable wrecking ball there in the end. Nice minefields. But I think Darvos and Oats have been showing up as well. We saw a very good gravitic flux come out from Oats at one time. Did good accretions in general from that Sigma, and Darvos has been holding their ground relatively well on that Orisa and on the heroes they've been playing so far. It's just a shame that when they play against that dive and the dive is executed that well, that you can stand there all you want as tanks, but if your backline keeps falling, you're just gonna get poked down in the end. It's very hard to keep doing something against that. So now they're finally on the Rhine Zarya, which we haven't seen from Darvos and Oats yet. It's new, it's exciting, it's fresh, and they're gonna use the Symmetra strat.
Yeah, Epic Shock using those Sigma orbs to get up onto that high ground. A nice little tech here, but the Sim strat gonna be coming in. Teleporter torn down almost immediately, and the shield from Darvos immediately taking a ton of pressure. The accretion trying to come in from Epic Shock, and now it's going to be Draco perhaps trying to take the upper route. In fact, it looks like they will. The shield now have regenerated from Darvos. Saja trying to find the damage with that Echo at the top. Great at poking that vertical damage in. And now we're going to see the teams roll it right out on the point. Draco trying to make something happen. Stake bringing up a Maywall, trying to split the field just a little bit. The Symmetra trying to get focused down by Saja, but it's not going to be enough. In fact, Saja not in for most of this fight. Instead, in fact, will just get burned down at the very back end. Draco look like they have this point locked.
Yeah, and this time they were very good at just rushing in. So they take more of a rush comp, and in that way, with the threat of the rush, force out the immortality field from this time was Dark Mallard. And we see immediately the dive come back into the defense. There, you know what? We've been winning dive all night long. Why not play it? And Hanamura defense is a good play from it, because you lose at high ground sometimes, and you have to go back to try and get an Ana or DPS off there. Now they're just on there with the Doomfist even from Saja.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Frostbite gonna be on this sim. Not sure if they have a teleporter strat set up in the pocket, but the Winston gonna be coming in. Shoto trying to deal that damage. Lotus dangerously low, but Sasha taking down CBT right as that immortality field falls. Some great plays, and the Symmetra absolutely pestering the spawns of the Wrecking Ball. Epic Shock having to duck back in just to not get eaten alive by those tiny turrets. And with this Frostbite, it looks like they've helped to lock down the point. The Blizzard coming out, the Proton Shield coming out as well. Stake and Frostbite doing their best, but Frostbite and Stake both get taken down. Flamengo is going to be taking a little bit of a nappy. And with this, the defense now coming out in full force. Draco needs to be very careful as their respawns are going to come in a lot slower. And the dive coming in from Shoto, the jump from the Monkey, almost focusing down that Zarya. But the heals are there. Darvas focused down and Lotus, and this does not look like it for Draco.
And it was almost a great push, but they forgot to actually clear the objective before they went for the spawn camp. So they split up their actual ground and pounds rush comp into, okay, so Frostbite, Stake, and Oats are holding spawn, and then we have Darvos on point with Flamingo and CBT. And then what are we doing? So we have a split attack versus a defense that plays dive. That's not what you want to do. You want to stick together, clear that objective, and then maybe go spawn camp. But they just were a little bit ahead of themselves, and now we have Lotus with a pulse bomb. Gonna get straight away, go in there and get almost one kill. There, Darvas so low.
Darvas dangerously low there, however, will be kept alive thanks to a bunch of the supports. The grab coming out from Oats. Frostbite gonna tuck right into that, an anti-nade going on to CBT and Oats, both able to clear it off with their abilities. Now the sound barrier from Flamengo trying to buy a little bit more survivability. Dark Mallard throwing the nano onto Shoto, trying to get that in, but Shoto getting absolutely CC'd, stunned, frozen. Everything you can think of in the book is getting thrown at him. He's gonna pop that primal to keep themselves up. Oats taking a little bit of a fall off of point, and now this high ground just being held by Dark Mallard. Needs to play very carefully, does get burned down by Stake and Frostbite, but the trade does come through, and by the skin of their teeth, it looks like Devious going to be able to hold this for the time being. They still do have a few members on point for the attacking team. Draco, can they make something happen? And Epic Shock looks like they're giving it up just a bit, but Lotus taking the life of Flamenco. And with this, Zarya trying to make it trying to make things go their way, but despite all these kills going back and forth, it looks like Devious have this in their pocket. As I say that, though, the Reaper gonna be claiming the life of Epic Shock. It's the Reinhardt alone trying to make it, and it doesn't look great for Darvis. The teleport coming in from Frostbite. This fight has been going on for forever, it feels.
Yeah, they keep going. Oh, the Shatter gets just cancelled out by Lotus. We have the Death Blossom in the spawn door. Meanwhile, Epic Shock taken down by that, but they're still getting kills back and forth. They really need to get rid of that Moira. That's the one thing that's been constantly sustaining them. They do get Frostbite, but they do need that Moira. There she goes. And that means that with 58.9%, this progress is going to hold for the moment. That was awfully close, but you do consistently see it, right? Where the May Reaper, Rein Zarya, yes, it's a very good combo. It's hard to deal with that as a Winston and a Wrecking Ball. But the advantage that you have as that dive is that they cannot really pin you down. They cannot really get on top of you because you're faster, you're more mobile, and you can attack from a bit further away as well to be more effective. So with all those angles and all that mobility and all that high ground around the objective, and if you're spawned really close, how are you ever going to get a hold of that defense? And they swapped over to the Tracer. Stake is still on that Reaper, and they do have the Grav again, and the Coalescence and the Sound Barrier. So more sustain, potentially able to focus down 1 or 2 targets with that Grav. It's a good fight, but it's probably going to be their last good one.
Yeah, Lotus throwing in that Pulse Mine, and instead will just be trading their life for it. The rally coming out from Mini Dark Mallard as well, going to be throwing in that nano boost onto Shoto, trying to give them a little bit more survivability, going to be popping that Primal. Saja killed themselves, not quite sure. It might have been a deflected right click from Zarya, but now it's not looking great for Devious. The numbers are leaning heavily against them. They need to make something happen. They need to get a few more kills if they're going to get those respawns to work for them in any capacity. They're not quite able to find it. The blade comes out, but Frostbite burns Saja down so quick. Flamingo going to be dropping that sound barrier. Not necessary as the point gets capped.
Ooh, and that's such a shame as well. They're not able to get it to like overtime or stall a bit more. They never really caught out very early, especially Shoto and then Saja getting into that Grav, because that means the blade cannot come out at more of a time of your choosing or opportune moment. It had to come out to try and recontest out of spawn and just couldn't really get anything going, got smacked down straight away. A very good Grav, very good heads up play to just get that going, and they really were able to put everyone in that corner straight away. And yeah, I think that's nice that Draco Vortex got that done, but you know, minute 4 is not a lot of time on Hanamura. You do see teams snowball this a lot quicker sometimes, and especially with this dive that can actually do that, it's potentially going to be a rough one on their defense. So still a lot of good potential here for the side of Devious.
Yeah, good potential for both teams, as there is always that threat that Devious doesn't get that second cap. But Devious looking still pretty good. Draco, I think, definitely not out of the weeds just yet.
It's definitely looking like that. I'm 100% also looking forward to seeing something like that, where we just look at maybe a more different strat than they've been showing so far. But I don't know. Like, I think the May is nice, but I think it's going to be hard to get the value out of the May when they just jump over the wall. The only ones you're really going to be walling off or annoying with that are Mini Pawn and Dark Mallard. But with the wall being so breakable, that might not even be the case.
And already Saja getting up into the face of that Reinhardt. It looks like, I believe, Frostbite dropped off the ledge for just a second, had to use the recall. Not going to be available for this Tracer, but Devious kind of evaluating their plan.
And the Maze not at the choke. He's trying to chase down this Wrecking Ball. If they go in now, they actually have quite a free way to do that. They're going to help them out as well. It's just the DPS on the side with their Wrecking Ball. The entire team goes on, and Frostbite taken down already, and Stake is probably next.
Yeah, Stake absolutely going to be next. That was so crucial. It looked like they had a free kill on the Epic Shock, but it's not going to go that way. Oats continuing to battle it out, taking down Mini Pone as they can. A big anti-nade onto CBT and Darvis. Those two members, again, not going to be able to receive any healing off the back end of that. And with this Devious taking such a quick first point, getting the quick clean on the Oats as well.
And there's a few like fundamental rules in Overwatch. And one of the rules in Overwatch currently is you don't chase down a Wrecking Ball. Because no matter what you do, you won't be able to catch them unless you do it with the entire team. It's so hard to focus down. And you saw Stake. They were able to freeze and slow down the Wrecking Ball a bit, but it was just them and Frostbite trying to chase them down. And then it's just you're fighting against the dive. What are they gonna do? Of course, they're gonna all dive you as the two DPS. So you're just gonna die. So I'm not saying if they. I mean, of course, sometimes you just think, oh, I can get this wrecking ball. I got this. But it just that's where that goes wrong. Where you just don't have the two DPS. Now again, the Reinhardt's alone versus 4 or 5. 5 dive heroes. They're meanwhile touching the point, multiple fronts. Lotus does pick up that 1 tick for free, and they're probably gonna back off. Just wait for Lotus and then just continue.
Yeah, there was a very risky moment there where Saja had that blade, Dark Mallard had the nano, and that Reinhardt was dangerously light. Darvis really needed to watch his back there.
Yeah, and it's still there. They don't have to push through this high ground. They can just go through main and find a different angle to attack through. Once again, Lotus goes through main. Somebody's going to touch points. Maybe go for the Brigitte. Nice pulse bomb. Takes down CBT off the field. A lot less threatening for this dive now. They can just go to points and work with the Nano Blade potentially.
Yeah, and Lotus going to be taken down now. The defense going to be trying to make it their way, but the Grab Flux going to be locking that Genji down. Saja able to survive thanks to that nano resistance damage, but with that, it doesn't look like it's quite enough. Draco Vortex has gotten the early kills that they needed. The minefield gonna come out. CBT taken down, bobbed right into one of the mines. The Earth Shatter onto Shoto, but the pin is missed by Darvis. They might be kicking themselves a little bit for that stake, having to throw in that Blizzard just to lock everybody down. Some good ults pulled out of this fight.
Yeah, and especially from Devious, I was kind of questioning their ult users because they threw in everything there and the kitchen sink at that while they had already lost 1 or 2 members in the early fight before they even really started. And it's not like they pressed Q while those members died. No, they consciously made the decision to pull those ultimates out when they had already lost a few members. And I thought maybe they're just going to switch after this fight. They're just going to be like, okay, you know what? We're going to try once with dive. This is the fight we're just going to try no matter what. And if it doesn't work, we just swap. But that's not the case. They're on they just got 1 tick. They got no ultimates to work with aside from the rally, and they're still running in with this dive composition. There is only really an impulse from the other side, though, so it's not like they're walking into a huge defensive ult bank. But still, you would have liked a bit more.
Yeah, it's going to be Shoto diving right onto Frostbite, who answers with a pulse mine onto the back. Taking that out early. It looks like Devious having the wherewithal to try to withdraw. Not going to quite be able to, though, as that Maywall does come out. The Brig and D.Va kind of trapped in between a wall and Draco.
Yeah, and a wall and a Vortex, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, honestly, right now the ultimates are building up once again. The attackers do have that advantage here. Their ults are building up a bit quicker here. They have the pulse bomb. They'll have the nano boost. Getting close to that blade, they're gonna probably get that mid fight. So if they do a good attack now, they will not be able to be stopped. But it's all about Oats because they had a beautiful critic flux to counter it last time, and they're getting close again.
Yeah, the nano gonna be going on to Shoto, trying to get that damage up, force that high ground positioning to be given up. But there's progress being made on the point even as these kills are coming through for Devious. And right now, Devious swung back in the way that they exactly needed. That Sigma gonna be trying to kinetic grasp things out of the sky. Not gonna be able to kinetic grasp that electric tendrils coming in from Shoto, who then drops the grab flux. Or excuse me, Shoto dropping the primal into Oats. Grab Flux does take out Saja, and no way, it seems like Devious not going to be able to hold this one down. That Grab Flux might have bought enough time. Oats doing exactly what they needed to there. It looks like Devious does not get it to work.
And that's the one problem they're sort of having with this dive composition. If a Gravitic Flux hits someone, they have nothing to deny that. That Gravitic Flux will get that kill because the follow-up will always be there. They're swapping to this Reinhardt now. That's the only thing they switch. Alexi Mini Pawn going over to Lucio as well. Epic Shock going to... Okay, they switch up a bit more. But it does look like they want to stick with the dive DPS. The Genji, I understand. You want to sort of... You want to still work with that blade if you can. But then there is the Tracer still as well from Lotus. I know you've been getting value, but is that really the play with this Rein Zarya? I don't know. I'm willing to see it, though. They only have one, maybe 2 fights left, though, if the fights aren't quick.
Yeah, we're going to see how quick it is as the Maywall comes up. Doesn't block off anybody quite yet. The Blizzard going to be going right onto point, but a lot of the members of Devious not going to be quite there to get frozen up. Shoto, however, is going to be the one that does. The blade coming out from Saja gets Earth Shattered, gets put to the ground, and with that, Draco Vortex have nullified perhaps one of the biggest threats besides that pulse mine that Darvis stepped on.
And there seems to always be a tank ultimate ready for the blade. It was the Gravitic Flux last time, the Shatter this time, and now we see Lotus swap, we see Saja swap. Now they're on this full more rushy burst brawl composition. They're not really anything that can that they can dive with anymore. Maybe the Lucio, but and the Echo, but they're not gonna have a dive duo like that. So we will see different attack here, and they have to complete this map before overtime hits.
Yeah, otherwise there will not be much of an opportunity for them. Sasha getting brought dangerously low, burned down. Oates getting a big grab of Flux. Frostbite taking a little bit of a stun, but it's not going to matter as Lotus just gets bullied as last man standing on point. 15 seconds, you got to think nobody's can touch.
And this time they have the Immortality Field, so they could have potentially done something against that Gravitic Flux. They will be able to touch with Shoto. I don't think they will be able to be stopped. Actually, as I say that, oh no, it's going to be Lucio that touches. They do in fact make it there. Shoto will get frozen up, potentially focused down here. Mini Pawn already out of this fight.
Yeah, Shoto trying to ball around, getting those health packs as they need, but the Maywall coming in is only going to stifle the maneuvering coming in from the attacking team even more, make it more difficult for them to get onto point. The Immortality Field from Flamingo keeps people online, although it might not be necessary as these kills come in. You're going to secure the point either way, so you don't really mind.
They were so close to getting that map completion at some point, but then the Gravitic Flux just thwarted their plans. That they had a fight where they invested maybe a bit too many ultimates, and they never really recovered. Oates, really the player of the match in this one, did a lot of good work with that Sigma on the second point defense, especially. See this one, like the beautiful Gravitic Flux, the Immortality Field was already forced out, and they just, cleaned them up. Really, it's the team kill that came out eventually.
Yeah, it was looking really good from Draco, and we are definitely going to be seeing a map 5. I'm excited. Of course, our next map will be Control Point here, but before we decide what that map is going to be, I have word that we might be taking a short bio break here, a short little snack and drink break, man class.
We had some exciting maps, so my throat's feeling it. I think yours is as well. So
Yes.
I'm not at all opposed to that one. Taking indeed a very short break in order to get some biotic biotic feedback in order to make sure that we actually stay alive and don't kill ourselves during all of this. And then we'll be right back with indeed map 5 between these two teams that have just been going back and forth. Whenever it's someone's map pick, they win that map.
Yeah, so be sure, catch the action as we get back. GGNA Advanced Division. Stay tuned. Thanks for hanging in there with us, folks. We got our water, we got our snacks. We're ready to watch this last game between Devious and Draco Vortex. GGNA Advanced Division. Sir Waltham and Mana Class on the casting booth. Mana Class, we were talking about how this looks like it's going to shake out. What do you got for us?
The team that has gotten the map, that's on their sheet, has won the map. Li Zhang was on Devious' sheet. Nepal's on Draco Vortex's sheet. And guess where we're going? It's going to be Nepal. So Draco's just going to win. Like, period. I'm not even going to try and analyze it. This is what's going to happen because the team that has the map on their sheet wins that map. And that's all there is to it. We don't even have to go into it. I mean, I could go in depth. I can tell you all you want, but that's all you want to hear. Just, weird predictions from a goofy caster. So that's what we're going with, Waltham.
Okay, I'll accept that answer. I'll accept your reasoning behind that's how it is. Here's the bonus points. Do you think it goes 2-0 or 2-1?
I don't know. I don't really have it. I think it will slightly depend on which stages they get first.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that with the more mobile, multi-angle approach of dive, you could potentially, with that wrecking ball especially as well, get some value out of Sanctum. Maybe as well from Shrine. I do think Village should be relatively Draco Vortex favored with the more enclosed objective and the not as abusable high ground, less room for mobility. I do think that should go in their favor, but Sanctum and Shrine are a bit more debatable. So that's where Devious could show something and we could go 2-1. But again, so it really depends on which stages we get first, whether it's a 2-0 or 2-1. Yeah, I think Village first makes it a 1-0, or in the first two makes it a 1-0 like by default.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go into Shrine or Sanctum, and that's where I kind of toss it up in the air, and I don't know. But with the momentum, then Draco Vortex could just like pull it through and say we just get a 2-0 because we just got the map win, and then we got the first stage win, so we just, that's us.
Well, we'll have to find out here. We're going to be getting into the sauce rather soon here, but given all these factors we're considering, momentum, map picks, dive compatibility, all that kind of thing. Do you think there's any set strategy Draco Vortex is particularly going to be running? I think Devious is going to be trying to run something a little dive friendly, but what do you think about Draco?
I mean, that's what they generally tend to do, right?
Hmm.
Draco, I feel like they're gonna go back to most of what they've been doing with, like, especially these Sigma. I think Sigma Orisa might be their call, with just the Baptiste and either Brigitte or an Ana or Zenyatta. I think they've mostly been favoring the Baptiste Brigitte lately. And then the DPS, I feel like it will just be a Mei and something else, whether it's an Ash or a Tracer or something like that. They'll go with something like that. Maybe they have an interesting strat where they do something with a Symmetra and a Bastion. Maybe, I mean, it could be.
Hmm.
Especially on Village, you can play Symmetra Mei fairly confidently and get away with it. Um, but yeah, I think we'll see some fairly standard stuff coming out from them. Double Barrier seems to be more of their bread and butter than anything else.
Well, certainly an opportunity to see a little bit more fundamental, I'd say, at least, as of last my memory, a little bit more traditional Overwatch. Not so much of the dive, not so much the fast movement, at least coming out from one side of the field.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Draco Vortex is not their cup of tea. They tried it in
Yeah.
Hollywood, but couldn't quite pull that one through. And starting on Shrine, which is open enough that dive could work, and you do see them straight away queuing that up. They're saying, you know
Yeah.
what? Yes, let's just do that. Let's just try and go over that. And on the other side, I am curious to see whether Frostbite again will stick on the Symmetra or just use it to get out of spawn, because we've seen them stick on it in the before. Boot Flame and Go being on this Mercy, it's likely or possible at least that they'll go with a Pharmacy to actually try and do what they did on Gardens before.
I would love to see that happen. I don't think anybody needs to predict my reaction on that. Looks like Frostbite going to be throwing out the Sim and then just switching to Tracer. The quick point arrival by Devious going to be leading this fight in early. Shurikens coming in from Sasha, just trying to get that ult charge built up. Genji can be so crucial with that blade, and he builds it up even faster now, as we were talking about. Right now, not a lot of kills coming through for either team, but a big anti-nade coming in onto the side of Draco. They're taking some early damage, but it's going to be Minipone who takes the first death in this squad. Stake and Darvos both dangerously low for a bit, but able to get healed back up. And right now, Devious does not seem like they're able to find those advantages.
No, they're not able to get onto this Baptiste as much as they were before. They definitely found a way to protect their backline a bit better and not force out the Immortality field early. It was a very good anti-nade from Dark Mallard, but after that, they couldn't quite capitalize on anything, and that's just a shame. The Immortality field was very well timed there, and yeah, Shoto was just pushed away, and they got into the backline with Frostbite to get Minipone.
Yeah, we see Frostbite hiding around this corner, but it's gonna be Lotus who does the smart thing and checks those corners. Lotus trying to take that duel, not gonna be opting into it too aggressively, as Frostbite does receive the armor pack from the Brig. And the rest of the team of Devious look like they're rotating up onto this high ground, really kind of letting the Tracers do their own thing, but it's going to be the Diva played by Epic Shock coming in to back up Lotus just a little bit, try to relieve a lot of that damage that Frostbite is capable of. Frostbite dangerously low, literally one gets run over by Epic Shock. The opening now might come in for Devious. They have a few ultimates online. Are they going to pop the Genji blade? They are pulling it out. The Genji coming in, swinging. Flames won the nano, or the anti-nade is coming in. Darvas cleaned up as well. The Mei takes a swing, but survives. That is until Dark Mallard pumps some neurotoxins into them. And with that, it looks like Devious finally going to get control of this point at about 54% of the opponents.
Is that what's in Ana's gun? Neurotoxins?
I assume so. I assume so.
Okay. I mean, something like that, right? Like, it's a very fast-acting agent of some kind. But yeah, now that we know that, 5 ultimates, 6 ultimates online for Draco Vortex. Some still online for the other side, but it's actually just showed us Primal Rage, and they have to be very careful to fight into this. 54% is on the other side. Can they stall out to even match that at this point?
Yeah, Shoto dropping that barrier rather early, but has the Primal online. Stake going to be throwing in the Blizzard, trying to clear point out for just a little bit. Is going to buy some reprieve for their team to get in there. Frostbite taking an anti-nade, going to get brought down. Doesn't find much with their Pulse Mine in exchange. Shoto taking a couple swings, getting brought dangerously low on this Winston. Their support's trying to keep them alive, but Minipone gets brought to their knees. CBT opening up that amplification window, not going to be able to utilize it here. Epic Shock going to be taking a quick retreat, trying to get away. They'll manage it.
5 ultimates to decide a fight. After the first 4, they only had a kill on the Genji to show for it. And now they're going to have to fight into, well, 4 ultimates, maybe even 5 come up in the next fight for Devious. And that might also all just play in Devious's favor. They're going to have to, you know, play it a bit slow and charge that percentage all the way up to the, well, really what the max that they have to. Epic Shock almost getting frozen out and taken out. But at least the wall's forced out here. They can immediately dive on that, try and get some follow-up on the Tracer and the Mei. But at least they know the wall and the block are potentially out already.
Yeah, the Nano going to be going onto the Winston, but the Winston getting hit with an Earth Shatter, being forced to drop to the floor. The Diva Bomb coming in, Epic Shock throwing in that self-destruct, not going to find anything, and the pin almost landing onto Mini Pwn, but the Reinhardt clips the wall. Devious, through a stroke of luck and a lot of grit, they are able to take this.
Yeah, again, they need about 4 ultimates to do it, but then they'll have the Blade and the Primal Rage. There will be about 4 ultimates on the other side. Frostbite, Stake, Oates, and Flame and Go will have theirs, but this is, I mean, it's likely going to be the last fight. It's going to take a while for the fight to actually develop and show a winner. By that time, the timer will be on 99, and we'll go in last fight territory straight away.
Yeah, the freeze onto Shoto has to get bailed out by his Genji. Saja trying to put the pain onto Stake. In fact, will manage it. Shoto going to be taken down by Oates, but no res means that tank and that Mei will be out of the fight. The Blade still ready to be released from Saja, and somebody needs to get onto the point to contest. Devious about to give that point up for free. The Pulse Mine going to be landing onto Dark Mallard. Mini Pwn taken out as well. A big pin onto Saja from Darvis, mitigating that Blade, and now it's just curtains here for Devious if they're not able to get some severe point and kill on this capture point. But with that, the Diva trying to come in, Epic Shock taking a stun, getting thrown out, and the Blizzard going into downtown from Stake, making sure nobody can get there easily. Lots of ults just to celebrate. Overtime slowly ticking down. That Mei wall coming up, not going to help the side of Devious as it's going to go over to Draco.
Superb Immortality Field usage from CBT. They're finally getting a grip on it. They're finally able to play around the Immortality Field as it was designed to do, using the way better timing, and they're just reacting to the exact play they need to react to. Whether it was that anti in the first fight, that Dragon Blade in the last fight, CBT doing a great job of that this time around, not being able to be pressured as much as they were before, and a lot of pieces are just falling into place here for that side. And it's, of course, the map they listed as their comfort map of control, so it's expected, but it's still good that it's coming out. And now we will see the Symmetra Mei strat on Village. I was sort of predicting this, and we saw before that Devious actually won the Symmetra wars on the previous points, so they're going to stick with the Symmetra this time around and the Lucio, so they'll get there first. They're able to set up. And what is Draco Vortex going to do against it? They wall them away from the point. It's just a Symmetra and the Orisa on there right now. They are set up.
Yeah, and the damage going to be coming in. Epic Shock taking down Oates early. That's one of those crucial players that we talked about. Darvis shield getting cracked and beaten with that. Now Draco on the back foot. CBT going to be taken down, screaming for a sigh of relief. Frostbite taking down Lotus, but it doesn't look like Draco's going to be able to pull it back despite that. In fact, it will go over to Devious.
Yeah, they will still have a spawn teleport, so I think they're going to be able to get back quickly on Lotus's side if they want to. And that will be it will be a tough nut to crack here. I mean, there's a point with Symmetra turrets and a Mei and just Symmetra spamming you. Your shields aren't going to have as much value as you want them because the Symmetra actually charges a weapon from it. So you're going over to this Reaper Mei composition, which I get. You want to get in close and then just burst them down. But before you get there, how much damage will you have taken?
That's going to be the question here. The Mei wall coming out. Shoto still swinging big, but Dark Mallard taken as a first down. That's going to be very difficult. The amplification window is not going to make things any easier either. The big Earth Shatter going to be landing only onto 2. It looked like it was going to be much bigger than that. CBT and Darvis going to be going in, getting those melee kills. Heavy Stake going to be dropping Blizzard in as well just to sure things up.
Yeah, still, the Blizzard Amplification Matrix both used, and only a Shatter on the defense. So that means it's an ultimate advantage here for the side of, what's it called, for Devious. But they still have to get in first. You know, it's a hard point to push into sometimes, especially we talked about before with the attacking Symmetra. It's not the easiest thing to do. but they're going to be able to try and come out here on this top, and they could potentially use the Symmetra window to get some space here. The wall doesn't stop them for any bit, and the barrier, nice counter to the Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, the Flux gonna try to come in, doesn't land too much benefit, but Draco Vortex not exactly hemorrhaging too many losses either. CBT gonna be throwing in that rally, trying to keep their team alive. Darvis has the Earth Shatter, might be looking to get it. The boop coming in to stun. Darvis not gonna be able to land. It gets frozen up. The Immortality Field there to save them, but not long enough as Sasha takes it down, then takes them down with the Icicles. Devious now going to be pressing their advantage here, pressing W and moving forward with great vigor. And with this Lotus on this Symmetra, still trying to play with it, trying to burn down that Mei wall. In fact, will get it down. The Symmetra wall is up. Will they opt to use it? That's going to be the question here. In fact, they will, throwing it down. The Supercharger as well. Looked like Oats was about to try to make something happen, didn't quite, got frozen in place. The Immortality Field keeping the team alive, and Devious, despite what was looking very good for them, Draco has managed to pull a few kills, and Saja now going to be the next to fall. Oats absolutely coming big with the kills they need.
And after all those resources invested, you get nothing for it if you're Devious. This looks in dire straits, walking up against 5 ultimates. You just swap Lotus off to the McCree. They have to win a fight vanilla versus these 5 ultimates. Maybe they can get a Shatter off over a Blizzard, but it's going to be hard last fight territory for them. And Draco, after, quite tough losses, is now just pulling it back.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. That Blizzard freezing down a lot of people. Dark Mallard and Shoto getting brought down, and nobody even going to be able to contest thanks to those Mei cooldowns. Draco Vortex wins this without so much as a contest.
Wow. That is... you gotta feel it, right? It's just you have to go to the last control map, and it turns out to be Nepal. It's on their sheet. You've been winning and losing all the maps that the teams have been putting on their sheets all night, so you do feel like you're cursed a little bit already, especially when when the caster then just makes a pick without any arguments. So yeah, I got a feel for Devious because they did a really good job, and I think that's really nice they were able to play dive. And the question is, of course, that with more changes coming into the game, with more balanced stuff being changed, will dive become even stronger? Will it become even better? Will it be able to run more maps? Is the map pool maybe not as completely susceptible to dive as it could be? And those are all good questions, and questions that we might be able to answer in the future. But for now, all we can say, Draco Vortex pulls off the 3-2. Not a reverse sweep. They won one by one by one by one by one. But they did win the last 2. They were the first team to string 2 maps together. And eventually that's all it takes, right? Have that one map over the other.
Yeah, it really does here. Now, Classy, as we get to the end of this, these teams are going to be looking to decompress. Do you think there's anybody that really stood out for either of these teams? Because they both played a really good game. It just did not, really good multiple games.
It's so hard to say, right? Because all of them had their moments on specific maps. So you have to look at who had a very consistent performance throughout all of that. And I think, especially if you're looking at Draco Vortex, you just gotta talk about Oats. I mean,
Mhm.
that Sigma play especially was so good, and there was never a map that they couldn't play Sigma or didn't play Sigma, and there was always some form of play they made. Always. And that's what you need from an off tank like that. Find the right angles. Just every now and then, just take that cheeky off angle, especially on Sigma. That's very important. The Gravitic Fluxes got their value. I don't know. Just I think that Oats is really the one to shout out there, and I kind of feel bad because I feel like in the last week or so, every single time I cast, I keep on shouting out these off tank players, but they're just so dang good. I don't know if it's the hero or it's the players, but I just keep seeing them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on a lot of those sentiments, particularly the one about there were so many good players in this lobby. I think you could just as much give the praise to Oats as you could to most everybody in the server. It was just Oats felt like they were using their ults a hair better. They especially when it came to mitigating the Genji,
Right?
the tanks we talked
Yeah.
about, so good.
Because the thing is, I think I think everyone had their moments, but I do think that Oats was just like it's the consistency factor, right? Who
Yeah.
throughout every map did the same performance? Because Flame and Go and the Mercy did a very good job, but wasn't playing Mercy on every map, and CBT was struggling on that Baptiste early on. Then we had Darvos, who just seemed to somehow just die sometimes. We're like, I don't really know what happened here. which is not obviously just their fault, but that just happens sometimes as main tank. Stake had very good plays on the Bastion, was doing very well on the Mei, but also had some off moments. Same with Frostbite. And then when you look at the other team of Devious, it's the same story throughout, right? Like they all had brilliant moments, but just not as consistent as Oates was able to pull out of that Sigma.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I liked all of it. I liked the games we saw today. It's a little bit of a shame that we didn't see the dive team come out on top, at least from my point of view. But
Yeah.
honestly, that came down to map selection, I think. So definitely Devious, a team to keep your eyes on.
And that feels so bad, right? When you feel like, yeah, we're just the better team if we get the right maps. Like, what if we were talking about it in the break, like which maps are actually in control in the pool, like Nepal or Busan. And I was like, if they go to Busan, there's actually a really good chance that the dive actually works out on at least downtown, maybe even on Sanctuary, and that's 2 out of 3 instead of where on Nepal you're thinking like maybe Sanctum a bit, maybe Shrine a bit, but not really, and then Draco Vortex just wins that one. So imagine if they just are allowed to like go to something like Ilios on that last map. Beautiful dive map.
The opportunities that will be had and missed by Devious not being able to quite hold up
Oasis.
on
Oh,
those
great.
non-dive maps will be a mystery to us forever, man of class. But this is where we're gonna have to put this story to rest. Draco Vortex came up 3-2 over Devious. So grounded pound versus dive. There you have it. The victor comes out. And with that, I think we are about ready to sign off. I do believe we may have had some internet issues with Man of Class, so I will do the sign off. But for those of us here at Get Good, thank you very much for tuning in, folks. Be sure and catch all the games as we move on through this event. We look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care. Stay safe out there, everybody.